Welcome to Moxie Bets. Happy Friday, presented by Caesar Sportsbook. I'm your host, Katie Mox. Coming up on today's show, we have a very special guest today, an NBA vet, to help us chat all things NBA at the halfway point of the season. The All-Star Game is this weekend. There's so many fun games and challenges to bet on, and plus we'll take a look at some NBA futures. Which teams hold the best value right now? So without further ado, let's welcome in our guest, former first rounder and 8-year NBA vet, my friend, John Henson. John, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you? Long time no see.
Yes, long time no see. We used to work together at MSG Networks. Obviously, you guys are still killing it over there. How's the squad doing?
Squad is good. Bets are doing a little better than usual. So we're getting there.
You know, that's what happens. The more you bet, the better you get at it. So first, before we get into betting in the All-Star Weekend, I have to ask you, as someone who played for 8 years, what do you think of this season so far? Are there any teams or players that have surprised you? Like, I don't know, the Sacramento Kings?
Right. The Sacramento Kings potentially winning their division and finally ending the playoff drought. I mean, you've got like the Warriors are struggling, which we didn't think would happen. Suns get KD, Dallas gets, it's a lot of stuff going on, especially out in that West. So it's going to be a kind of a wild ride these last 20 games, especially out West.
Yeah. Well, okay. Speaking of out West, what did you think of the trade deadline? I was out at the Super Bowl and I feel like my phone was going off every 5 seconds with all the different trade deadlines. Obviously, KD and Kyrie are the biggest trades.
Right.
Who do you think won? Who do you think had the best trade? Who do you think, was impacted
I'm going to have to go, if we're going to go for the big boys, we're going to have to go with Phoenix. And then if I got to go underrated team, I got to go with Detroit. They got Wiseman, they got Cade Cunningham. They essentially have 4 top 5 picks in their starting lineup. So that's a team that under the radar that they also made some really, really good moves.
Yeah, well, I mean, you obviously were a player for a while and you've dealt with some trades. What is it like as a player and also in a locker room at this deadline when there's so many moves? Is it somber? Is it exciting? What's it like?
Trade deadlines are probably my most memorable moments. Some of my most memorable moments, even this trade deadline, 50 players got traded, I believe. That means you had a 20% chance of getting traded. So 1 in 5 players got traded this year. So that's just to give you some context. It can happen to anybody. I was traded twice in my career. So it's a humbling feeling, but you know what? It's a job. They pay you to do it. You got to pack up and get to work.
Yeah. Do you have anxiety the night before the deadline? Because like you said, 20%, it could happen to anybody. And even the biggest players in the world end up getting traded. Do you have anxiety the night before? Am I staying? Am I going?
Yeah, it just depends because when I was in Milwaukee, it was out of the blue. I mean, I'm literally driving to the arena and I get a phone call. And in Cleveland, I kind of knew I was on the block and they were trying to make some moves. So Cleveland, I wasn't surprised, but it's still hard either way. And Rudy Gay kind of talked about how hard it is just sitting there and uprooting your life, right? Just by
especially somewhere like Milwaukee, you were there for 6 years. Maybe in the other ones you weren't there as longer, so didn't have quite the relationships, but that was your home.
Yeah, it was my home. I mean, I remember yesterday I was riding back. I had actually had wrist surgery, so I was riding back from my new cast. We were playing the Warriors that night. My boy was landing, and I was like, hey, I'm not playing here anymore. I got to go to Cleveland tomorrow. So it was it's just one of those things. They had to pay the big boys. They had to pay Giannis. They had to pay Chris at the time, Eric Bledsoe. So we knew kind of eventually somebody was going to have to go.
Okay, well, speaking of, I'm obviously a Warriors fan, and there was the whole GP2 stuff, and that trade almost didn't go through because he failed his physical, and then it came out, that they were forcing him to play injured, and he was getting toradal. Is that we see a lot of it with the NFL and players being forced to or not? I mean, look, we both know former NFL players. Talked to Eric Coleman about it, about some of the maybe shady things that happen with doctors and teams. Was that surprising to you about GP2, or is that just kind of course?
It was kind of surprising, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's a business, and it's a game, and people try to cover your eyes and trick you almost. I mean, even Isaiah Thomas thing back in the day, who knew how much they knew about his hip, right? So GP2 is lucky that the Warriors really like him, right? I don't think if it's that anybody else, I think the trade's off. So he's in a good spot, and he gets to stay, because it would have been awkward if everybody has to go back, which has happened before too.
because that was a big trade. There was what, 6 players, involved in it. So,
Yeah.
and you're right, he is lucky, and we're look, it's fans, team, everybody loves
Mm-hmm.
GP2. Hopefully, we'll get him back in and around the playoffs, and my Warriors can get to the. If the Warriors get to the playoffs, I'm not really worried about them if they have the health on their side. But we're kind of on the cusp right now. One thing I want to ask you, because you're a former NBA player and now you're a betting analyst.
Mm-hmm.
Do your friends in the league ever get mad at you about your bets? Like, let's say one night you're at MSG, you're like, you know what? Giannis doesn't have his stuff tonight. I'm taking him under on his points. Is he ever like, bro, what up?
Like certain guys follow me, and I try not to like put stuff on there if I talk about this, because it's kind of awkward a little bit.
Yeah.
But the betting is just where it is nowadays. I mean, you see it on TV. Like, you can't sit here and tell me Pat Mahomes and say, "Oh wow, like I was the favorite earlier, now I'm the underdog." I mean, it's literally on everything. So, I think as an athlete, I mean, I'm not playing anymore, but it's just something you kind of just got to take in and move on with your day with. Don't do a Calvin Ridley, but so.
Right, exactly. I feel like it's so hard for former players that turn into analysts, because your job is to analyze the players and the game,
Right.
and you got to be honest, right?
Right.
The viewer or your producer should never know who your buddies are, right? But then at the same time,
Right.
your buddies are following you and all that kind of stuff. I feel like it could be
Like,
a little bit awkward. All right, let's get into the Mox thought of the day. And it's the All-Star weekend. Unlike the NFL and their Pro Bowl, I feel like the All-Star weekend is actually very fun to watch and a lot of good things happening. What is your favorite NBA All-Star weekend moment or memory, either past or present?
So I'm going to take it back. My dad took me to the All-Star game in San Francisco when Vince Carter won that dunk contest, which is like was legendary. So we were sitting.
Wow.
Yeah, we were sitting behind the basket. I'll never forget. I probably was like 12, and see, that's
Yep.
back in. I don't know how it is now, but that's back in the day when the players used to sit in the stands. So I remember Tony Dice was in the stands, and Alonzo Mourning I met, who's in the stands. So that's my most memorable moment, because that literally was my introduction into like the NBA and basketball, and I kind of never looked back. So it was almost
What a better, I can't, I was going to say, is that when you're like, yeah, I'm playing in this league. This is what I want. This is who I want to be.
Right. And who knew that dunk contest would be so legendary, right? Like, that was crazy.
Well, we'll get into that, and it's just not the same as it used to be. But the fact that you were there for that is just, that's incredible. That's like watching Joe Montana or something in a Super Bowl. I would say for me, obviously, there's no way that I can up that one, because being there is amazing. But I feel like 2020, the Kobe Bryant tribute was a really special one, just because like LeBron James' team all wore number 2 for Gianna, and Giannis's team wore 24 for Kobe. And it was really the first time that the NBA world and all of us could kind of mourn him together and kind of celebrate what his impact was on the game. So to me, that was kind of a special one, at least as a fan to watch, and all the players kind of coming together for that. And then, in 2015 and 2016, when the Splash Brothers, when both Clay and Curry were kind of at their prime and they were going head to head in those 3-point contests, that was super fun. And then how about Curry in 2021 in the 3-point contest? What did he drop? Like 31 points? Like, he was just ridiculous.
Right. Now those are good times, especially when the Splash Brothers, Warriors kind of in the championship contention, the young Clay, young Steph. I mean, those are times that, most of us, you're going to be playing that probably time and time. I mean, the highlights of this year's contest, you will see that contest most likely with Clay and Steph going at it. So that's fun.
It's always fun going out. And I will say 2022 is when they instituted that Elam ending. So it's like in the third period, they stop the clock. Whoever the winning team is, they add 24 for Kobe points to it. Do you like that? Does it make it more fun? Or
I do.
Not really?
I do, because, over the last few years, it's kind of funny, because I always tell people, they're like, do you still play? I'm like, I play a little bit, but if I play, this competitive like tick kicks in, and then all of a sudden I'm out there going crazy and I'm going to get hurt. Right. So I think it's the same way with All-Star. That competitive edge kicks in, and they don't care. It's All-Star game. And we've been seeing that lately, and it's actually helped the game look a little better. Whereas the NFL is still trying to figure out like how to do that. So it's fun to watch now.
I agree. And what I like what the NBA does is instead of doing East and West like they used to, or what
Mhm.
the NFL does with the AFC and the NFC, is that they just pick the captains, and then the
Right.
captains get like one, the selection process is so fun. You could bet on the selection process, who's going to be the
Mhm.
number one overall. I think LeBron
Mhm.
has the first pick this year. And then also just the teams feel a little bit more even, and also feels more like a pickup game than,
Yeah.
just the best players from the East and the best players from the West. To me, I think it makes it more interesting um, to watch. Okay, we're going to take a quick break right now before we head into Capper's Corner.
The thing about Caesars Sportsbook is it's not just an app. It's your key to a whole empire. Hotels, casinos, restaurants, shows. Caesars Palace, I'm sure you've heard of it. Every bet you place with Caesars Sportsbook brings you closer to perks only Caesars can offer. Hotel stays at iconic destinations, app bonuses, merch, show tickets, and many more Caesars Rewards perks. So get started today. Register using code OMAHAFULL and then place your first bet, up to $1,250. If you win, congrats. If you don't, you'll get your stake back as a bet credit.
Time now for Capper's Corner. We welcome back in John Henson. All right, John, you can bet on anything these days, and certainly on the All-Star game. So let's take a look at some of these. You got the NBA Skills Challenge. And so this year's team, you got Team Jazz, you got Team Antetokounmpo. I can't say his name. Giannis,
That was
Giannis,
good.
and
That was
Alex.
that was
I
good.
got it. All right. Hell
Team
yeah.
GA. We call it Team GA.
Team GA. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And then you've got, who's the other one? Oh, and then the rookies. Of course, the rookies. What are you liking for the Skills Challenge? Who do you think wins this, or is a good bet?
I'm gonna probably have to go Team Rookies. I don't know how to get these.
Ooh,
I don't know how to get these odds, but I'm gonna have to go
yeah.
with the highest picked and skilled players.
Uh-huh.
Paolo,
Uh-huh.
Jaden Ivey, Jabari Smith,
Yeah.
and at plus money. I think that's a good bet. The Team GA, I think they're just there for festivity purposes. So I'm gonna go Team Rookies.
Well, I think the Jazz are the favorite, which makes sense. Obviously, hometown too,
Mhm.
hometown crowd. They've got that going for them. I mean, I like the rookies too. I'm going with the fun one. I'm going with Team GA. Look, they finished in last place last year, right? So maybe narrative, right? Bounce back spot here for the brothers. And the format is slightly different this season, but they do have experience. They were in it last year, so maybe that would help them pull off the upset. And obviously, they're brothers, so they've got the chemistry. And look, I agree with you that they're probably the least likely to win, but look, you got to throw a little money at something fun. So I'm going with Team GA on this one. Now, 3-point contest. This is an interesting one because Curry's not in it, which I think would probably be the biggest one because he's
Yep.
injured this year. And when I was trying to handicap this, it's a little bit difficult because it's complicated. They add all kinds of modifications over the years. So players, if people watching aren't familiar, players are given 70 seconds to shoot 27 balls from 5 different locations around the arc. 4 of the 5 racks contain 4 NBA balls, and then there's also that tri-colored money ball.
Mhm.
There's 5 money balls, and the players choose where they want them to be. And then there's also the starry range ball that you could get
Mhm.
more points with. So when you look at this, you got Dame Lillard, you got Tyler Hero, you got Jason Tatum, you got a lot of big guys on here. Julius Randle. Who do you like since there's no Curry here to take the 3-point challenge?
I kind of look at their shooting. Buddy Hill uses his legs a lot. Dame as well.
Yeah.
Herter as well. Hero's a jump. I like Tyrese Halliburton. He's a set shooter. He doesn't jump a
Ooh,
lot. He's very kind of compact in his form, so he's probably not going to get as tired as the other guys. And at
yeah,
plus 700, that's who I'm riding with. When I saw the list, I said Halliburton for sure because I saw how he shot. I see how he shoots the ball, and I'm like, okay,
yeah.
he's a set shooter. I like set shooters in this. Like with Clay, Clay's kind of was set shooter. He jumps a little bit, but he's a set shooter, and he did well.
Yeah. All right, yeah. I mean, look, if it's kind of sad for me because Curry's not in it, because I feel like Curry's been making some ridiculous shots this year, and it would be fun to see if he can go over the. Do you think anyone's going to go over 31 points, which I believe is the bar that Curry set?
You know, maybe Dame, right? Like maybe
Maybe
Dame.
Dame.
Obviously,
Yeah.
I like Halliburton to win it, but if anybody has that capability, I would say Dame. He obviously has hit the most past 30-foot threes in league history, I guess.
Yes.
Like so,
Yes.
Dame's got the
And
highest ceiling, I would say.
That leads me into my bet. I'm going Dame time. I like Dame Lillard for this one. He's a 7-time All-Star, so he's got all the experience there. He ranks 6th in career three-pointers made among all of the active players. Obviously, Steph Curry, James Harden are at the top there. Both of those are out this year. He has participated in a three-point contest twice in his career, and he hasn't won. So I feel like he's hungry for it. And with kind of the bigger guys out, and like you said, if anybody could put up maybe these 31 or over that, I feel like it's Dame. So plus 440, some good value there. I'm going Dame time on this one. All right, the slam dunk contest. The bar is set very high with you. Okay, so it's probably not that exciting for you to watch after your 12-year-old experience. But who do you see coming out of this one? You got some new faces in there this year. What are you thinking?
Jericho Sims intrigues me because he has the most bounce. I mean, I think he's going to get the attention, but I don't know what he can do trick-wise. But I'm going to go Kenyon Martin Jr. He's got the size. He has the flair kind of when he dunks a little bit. If I had to pick one guy, I'm going to go Kenyon Martin Jr. Matt McClung intrigues me. I'm going Kenyon Martin. Yeah, I'm going with the namesake.
I'm going with the short white guy. Okay, I'm going with Matt McClung. I mean, come on, right? Like I was watching some clips of McClung from high school. Dude has been dunking for a long time and in some really showboaty, fashionable ways. So he's got the hops, right? He's got that bounce. So he could put on a show for the judges, and he is short, right? Because he's only 6'2", which, how tall are you again? You're 6'7"?
6'9".
6'9". Okay. All right. So I'm not, no one's trying to dunk on you, although I know Alex Monaco tries to every once in a while. It doesn't work with him. So he's shorter, right? 6'2". But then you look at Nate the Great Robinson, who was only 5'9", and he won 3 times in this dunk contest. So I feel like because he's a little bit shorter, if he could get some good dunks in there, the judges might sprinkle a little extra points for him just for being a short guy. And again, the short white guy to win the dunk contest, it's too fun for me. So I'm taking him in this one, and I'm glad that he intrigues you as well.
It'll be easy for him to get the crowd behind him, and so if he starts doing some crazy stuff, it's gonna be hard to beat him.
It's going to be hard to beat him, and hopefully they put on a good show. Okay, so now on to Sunday. It's the 72nd NBA All-Star Game. Team Giannis, who's your homeboy, versus Team LeBron. And it's a little bit different this year because they're not drafting until an hour before tip-off. So it's hard to try to handicap these games. We don't know what the rosters are going to be. But if you had to choose right now, are you going with Giannis? He's at plus 105, or LeBron minus 125. Spread is 2 favoring.
It's like the Super Bowl coin flip. It's just like you guess. I mean, LeBron has not lost yet as a captain. So I'd imagine he's going to let his team know, hey, look, I'm undefeated. Let's keep it that way. So I'm going to have to go Team LeBron, and minus 125. You're not losing too much either. I'm going to go. And spread is minus, for sure, Team LeBron.
Yeah, exactly. I'm Team LeBron too. Look, he just passed the all-time leading scorer. Like you said, he's never lost in an all-star game. He has the number 1 pick. So you can bet on who the number 1 pick is going to be. Not on Caesars, but on some other books. Luka's one of the favorites. A lot of people think that Kyrie Irving is going to be, you didn't get him in LA, but he's going to maybe get him first on his team for all-star. Who do you think is going to go number 1 overall?
Ooh, I guess you got to go LeBron. If it's LeBron picking first or Giannis picking first?
Bron's picking first. Whoa. So it could be anyone like, I don't know. Kyrie seems to be what the whispers are. Like maybe he'll take him, or maybe he goes for Luka. Maybe he goes. I don't know.
Let's go LeBron. Let's go. LeBron takes Tatum. He's going to try to build it. I think he's going to maybe take Tatum. Like he's going to try to. LeBron's going to try to win this thing. He's not worried. He's going to go Tatum. I think he'll probably pick Embiid as well. I think those 2 are his guys that he wants to pick. But he could make. The NBA is very. I'm not saying NFL is scripted, but it might be fun for him to take.
Are we starting this game?
Yeah, we're gonna start. We're not gonna start this, but I think he'll take one of those 2 guys. But Kyrie probably, would be the fun pick if he wanted to get people, riled up a little bit. So
yeah. I like Tatum. I'm with you now on that one. At first, I was thinking maybe he'll pick Luca. If I feel like if Curry was in there, he'd pick Curry first. I feel like the last couple of years, LeBron is so happy with Steph Curry on his team. He's like, man, I don't have to go against you now. We could be on the same
Right.
team. So I love that Tatum pick. I think that's kind of a sneaky
Are,
one. So
are
maybe I'll go ahead and
there
bet
any
that
clutch
one.
guys? Are there any clutch guys in the All-Star game? He might pick one of those guys. We got to check that out.
Yeah, we got to check that out too.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it's midway point of the season. So it's always a good time to take a look at some futures. I'm sure you guys are talking about this on MSG as well. If we take a look at the Eastern Conference, Celtics are the favorite plus 130. Then you've got Bucks, your forward team, plus 200, Sixers plus 450, Cavs 1,000. As it stands right now, especially with all of the moves, I mean, Brooklyn's basically just out of it at this point for the East. Who do you think takes the East? And one, you're kind of your favorite, and if there's maybe a long shot as well.
I'm probably go Celtics. There's 20 games left. They're playing really well.
Yeah.
Mazzulla just signed a contract, to become the head coach, which I love. So I'm gonna have to go Celtics to take the East. And then long shot, I guess we could go 76ers.
Yeah,
They're
that's what I'm
super
thinking.
inconsistent. Yeah, they're super inconsistent, but if I had to pick someone else, it'd be them.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. It's between the Celtics and the Bucks for me. I kind of lean Bucks just a little bit more because they weren't healthy for the whole season and they're coming back. And I do think that the best player in the East is Giannis. But I agree with you on the Sixers kind of having the most value because you've got Embiid, you've got Harden. That's a duo that can kind of make noise anywhere. Now, the only question mark with them is James Harden going to continue his reputation of being a choke artist in the playoffs?
Right.
If he does, then the Sixers are out. But let's say James Harden all of a sudden becomes who he is in the regular season or who we know he can be. Those two together are pretty scary.
Yeah, they are. I mean, Embiid and Harden. I mean, if you want to talk about going into the postseason, those are two guys you want on your team. When he was with the Rockets, I mean, a Chris Paul hamstring injury away from the finals, essentially Game 7. So hopefully that motivates him to kind of get back where he was before. But the 76ers are a dangerous team to watch for.
Yeah, well coached as well. Okay, so now let's look at the West, which I feel like the West got turned upside down. As a Warriors fan, I'm pissed. Okay, we got Katie now to the Suns. You got Kyrie with the Mavs, who we were up against last year in the Western Conference Finals. So Suns the favorite. They were before. They still are plus 230. Then you got the Nuggets. I mean, you got the Joker. How do you go against that? Plus 350. Clippers are sneaky really good now, and they've been having some pretty big statement wins against the Warriors and then against the Suns, plus 575. The Grizzlies, the new bad boys, maybe the new Detroit Pistons of the NBA. Everybody kind of hates them, plus 700. And then you got Warriors and Mavs, plus 750. What do you think here?
I'm going to have to go Nuggets. I mean, we got to start giving them their due respect. I mean, they've got a potential three-time MVP. I think we have to look at them as potential championship contenders. Number one in the West, the best player analytically in the West, if you want to call it. I know KD's there. But, we got to go. I got to go Nuggets and plus 350. I don't know how the Suns keep, getting these numbers, and KD hasn't played yet. We don't even know how they're going to look. So that's a stay away for me until I see them play a couple games.
Well, that's the thing, right? It's like we've seen so many times these huge players or these teams assembled and the chemistry isn't there. And that's one thing that the Warriors have going for them is they've had, the same core players for going on 10 years now or over 10 years. And the chemistry is there and their roster is really deep. So I like the Suns, but I agree with you in the sense where we don't know what they're going to look like. It seems really scary, but who seemed really scary? The Nets. And that never amounted to anything. Or like the Warriors the Lakers when they kind of assembled that team last year. For me, I'm looking at the Suns. I'm still holding out hope for the Warriors just because if they get in the playoffs and they get healthy, that is not a team that anybody wants to see. They have all the experience in the world. Their bench is deep. And it seems to me like the regular season is kind of boring to them. And then once they get into that best of 7, they're going to get you almost every single time. So, just don't count them out, right? Would you agree? You just can't count the Warriors out.
You can't count them out, and I'd hate to be the Grizzlies or the Nuggets and have to see a healthy Warriors team in the first round. Like is not what I played this whole NBA season for, to see Steph Curry and Clay in the first round. I think that's going to happen. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
They're going to end up playing some.
Those are teams that don't like each other either. What do you think of the Grizzlies? Have they kind of taken on the role as the Pistons were maybe in the 90s or 80s as just the most hated team and kind of physical and starting fights?
They're trying, but you got to remember the bad boys won 2 rings. So the Grizzlies got to do a little more winning before they get the respect of the bad boys. But they're trying, and they're putting a target on their backs, and I love that for basketball and fan purposes. But when you got a motivated Warriors team coming to town, and they kind of rah-rahing at them, I would leave them alone.
I would. Yeah, don't poke the bear. Don't, because you saw what happened last year when you started poking the bear.
100%.
And it's just not what you want to do. I will say, if we're going for a long shot, and I talked about this earlier this week, and you might think I'm crazy. What about the Lakers at plus 2,000? Okay, so they got rid of some of the dead weight, right? You got rid of Westbrook, got rid of Pat Bev, which I find kind of hilarious because he was so happy to be there. You got D'Angelo Russell, you got Vanderbilt, you got Malik Beasley, you got Mo Bamba. Their depth has significantly improved on both sides of the court. Now, we don't know what the chemistry is going to be, right? Jury's still out. LeBron's having a hell of a season. If LeBron and AD can stay healthy, and let's say all of these pieces that they put in place gel, I don't know, plus 2,000, it's kind of a frisky pick. What do you think?
I guess you could sprinkle, but I mean, I think the Lakers are so far behind. The Lakers are so far behind that, I don't know if they can catch anyone, and if they do move up in the standings, I mean, I look at it like this: you got to go probably top the Grizzlies. You're gonna have to beat some of the Warriors or Clippers. Then you're gonna have to probably beat someone like the Suns or the Nuggets. So it's gonna be a tough road for them. But they do finally look good.
They could snag a playoff spot. I think they could. I think they could get themselves into the play-in at least.
Yeah, they look good. I mean, they finally kind of have a resemblance of a core, a team. I like D'Angelo Russell at the point guard. Vanderbilt, they're starting, which is a good defensive piece. Mo Bamba, Malik Beasley. They got a team now, which is what the fan base wanted. So next year is probably going to be the year that I think they can really step up. They need a center. I don't think AD at the center full time is good for him in his health.
I know he's such a core piece of that team, and he really stepped up this season too when LeBron was out. But yeah, he just can't seem to stay healthy. All right, so now we're going NBA championship. You like the Celtics, and I can't remember. Oh, and you like the Nuggets. So when you look at this, Celtics plus 330, Suns plus 450, Bucks 475, Nuggets are 700. You said you can't look past them, can't disrespect them. Warriors plus 1400. I'm still holding out hope for the Warriors. I won pretty big on them last year, but who do you think takes the whole shebang?
November 22nd of 2022, I put in a Bucks future at plus 500. So I'm going to stick with the Bucks. They're rolling. They're playing well. They're finally healthy. Chris Middleton's not even playing them, starting and playing all the minutes that he could play. Yeah. They beat Boston at home the other day. So I'm going to have to roll with the Bucks. They're looking primed to come out of the East. And, the West is going to be like a Wild West shootout, essentially, right? We don't know who's going to shake out there.
They're going to be beat up.
The Warriors could come out of there. The Nuggets could come out of there. But with the odds, people don't think the Nuggets are coming out of there. So it's going to be the West is going to be fun to watch. I think out of the East, it's between the Celtics and Bucks, and the Bucks took them to 7 without Chris Middleton last year. So I imagine that they could probably take care of them this year.
I think so too. And look, you played on the Bucks. You played with Giannis. What is he like? I mean, the Greek freak, he's just absolutely phenomenal. He seems just like a fun, loving, cool guy too. Is he just like a great teammate? And what was it like to play with him?
Hard worker. He's a very family oriented, big team guy, just wants to win. And even with the Bucks, how they kind of do it, when I was there is, hey, they want to get better every day, build good habits, and get ready for the playoff. And so that's how they're doing it. And as you can see, they've won, I think, 12 in a row now, going into All-Star break. That's going to bode well for them in the playoffs. They're clicking on all cylinders.
I couldn't agree more. Okay, so now we're going to go into what we like to call Mox Locks. Now, I don't have any bets for the weekend. I was at the vet all last night. Unfortunately, my dog was in the ER. I think she's going to be fine. Well, jury's still out on her, but she's home. Do you have any bets that you like for this weekend? Perhaps any college bets?
Yeah, so I look for like it's the last 4 or 5 games of conference season. So I look for like motivated teams. And so that's why I'm gonna go to the Big 12. It's a race between Kansas, Texas, essentially Kansas and Texas to win it. So you got Baylor at Kansas. I don't know, the line hasn't out yet, but I'm assuming that's going to be a short enough line where you could kind of either play the spread or money line. Baylor beat them at home as well, so I think they'll be motivated. So I would take Kansas if the line isn't over 4.5. And then with Texas, Texas has who do they have at home? Let me see. I wrote it down. I don't even remember who they have at home. But Texas at home against Oklahoma, I'm sorry. Texas at Oklahoma has Oklahoma at home. Now, that line might be a little high, but I like them to take care of them as well because Texas and Kansas are tied, and they have the last game of the conference season against each other. So those are 2 games that I would look at, and those are 2 very motivated teams. They want to win the Big 12. They want to get the number 1 seed in the tournament. And that would be my best advice for college basketball. Look for the motivated teams.
Look for the motivated teams. Well, speaking of, obviously, it's a while, but who do you think takes the conference, the NCAA tournament this year?
I'm going to have to go. I'm going to have to go. The top 3 teams lost this week. So I'm going to have to go Alabama if I had to pick a team today. And then Houston is a top team as well. Those are my 2 teams that are sitting at the top of the analytics.
I love that. It's not one of the picks we always hear, like the Zags. It's like every single year, or Baylor or whatever. So Bama, that would be a fun one. All right, John, thank you so much for coming on today. Really appreciate it. Hope you have a great weekend. And we win some bets here with the NBA All-Star Weekend. You can catch him on MSG Networks, the Betting Exchange, and the Better Half Hour. And John, what else do you got? I mean, you're a crypto guy. I know you're doing a lot of things with crypto. I know you got the thing that you're working with Eric Coleman, with the DAO. Tell the people, what's going on.
Well, right now Bitcoin's up. And then with the lifestyle DAO thing, it's kind of like it's kind of like a Web3 based concierge service. So that's something I'm a part of. And, we're staying down till it's time to come up in the NFT Web3 space, and it'll turn around eventually. And, it's fun.
Yeah, the lifestyle DAO seems really, really cool. It's like a service that hooks you up with anything that you want: reservations, vacations, booking a yacht, booking a plane trip, whatever you need.
Whatever you want. Skydive. You want to go puppy shopping? They can set that up too. So whatever you need, they got for you. And shoot your, you type it in, email. They'll email you back and give you updates on what you need to do.
All right, I'm going to have to sign up for Lifestyle DAO. Okay, John Henson, again, thank you so much for coming on. This has been Moxie Bets presented by Caesars Sportsbook. Don't forget to follow us on social at Moxie Bets.